Morning peeps, good morning everyone, how's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. A quick reminder that episode 5 of the Road to £175 drops this evening at 6 o'clock. So if you can, please give it a watch, a like and a share. Thank you very, very much. All right, let's talk about the fight card that I was at yesterday. Anthony Joshua versus Robert Helenius. AJ getting the knockout victory in the 7th round. We are going to talk about what next for both fighters. So for Helenius as well, very surreal last night. I got to the hotel around 1 in the morning, and I'm just chilling on the staircase, talking to a few fans, and Helenius just walks up the staircase by himself. I'm like, Robert, are you okay? I give him a big hug, said, well done. I said, you're right. And he says, yeah, his head's okay, but his heart is hurting because of the knockout loss. And I said, look, don't worry. You took it on 5 days notice. And I did ask him, are you going to continue? And he said, yeah, he probably will. And what did I say? I said, where are you going? Like, why are you by yourself? He said, oh, I'm just going to see my manager and his trainer who were kind of overlooking us. And I was like, is that it? Is that who you came with? And he says, yeah, that's all we do for every fight. He says, sometimes we take a second, so the trainer in a second, but most times he only travels with 3, maximum 4 people. Do you know how crazy that is? Like, obviously, look, each to their own, but every single time I see boxers, there's at least an entourage of 10 to 15, at least. And then we have Helenius, who he's a decent name. I'm not going to try and pretend and say he's the biggest name in the heavyweight division, but he's a decent name. And here he was, just wandering the hotel at 1 in the morning by himself, going to see his manager. I just found it surreal and nice to see as well, He took a few photos with people. I think everyone gave him sort of plaudits. Again, this guy took the fight and saved the card on 5 days notice. We talk about AJ saving the fight card, which is true, but Helenius was the one that accepted the call and he took the fight on 5 days notice. And I think for a few rounds caused AJ, not some problems, but AJ had to work out what Helenius was doing. But look, we're going to get to that very quickly. I do want to quickly touch on, if it's okay with you guys, the rest of the card. So we won't go to the undercard, but the main portion of the card that started at 7 o'clock, and it kicked off with Campbell Hatton against Tom Ansell. Look, Campbell's getting better. I just don't know if he's getting better quick enough. I'm not quite sure if he is. He's now 13-0. When people talk about, and people say this, don't they? Like, you can almost build a prospect up to like 20-0, 25-0, and they might not have fought anybody. Campbell could be getting into that kind of territory where they're just trying to find opponents. And look, Tom Ansell's better than some of his previous opponents, but I thought we might have been a bit further afield, a bit higher than where he is now. But look, I guess the show continues. Again, I am seeing improvements. He's way more patient than he used to be. Before, he was so erratic and used to rush his work. He's a lot calmer than that. I think we can give him that. But I would love to know what the plan is. So I'd love to know what the next year and a half look like for Campbell Hatton. Like, Eddie and 258 management must have a plan. Be interesting to know what that plan is. Johnny Fisher versus Harry Armstrong. You could have been forgiven for thinking this fight was going to end in the first 20 seconds. Johnny Fisher put it on him early, but Harry Armstrong weathered the storm. And you could almost see Johnny not panic, but when you're a puncher and you start to land your big shots and the guy starts to absorb them, that must be a weird feeling. Like, shit, what do I do now? But credit to Johnny, kind of took his time, and then he started landing some really, really big shots in that 7th round. And the towel could have actually come in a bit earlier. I don't know how. He landed one overhand right, and I'm convinced that Harry Armstrong was up on his feet but was knocked out. A bit like Baumgartner, Terry Harper. You don't have to go down. Sometimes you are literally just knocked out, but your legs haven't yet got the memo. And I felt that was the case. But look, good luck to Johnny. He's now the Southern Area Heavyweight Champion. I think Harry Armstrong, if he can, maybe lose a bit of timber around the belly, I think he's a decent heavyweight. Look, he's not going to go on and win an English or British, but he could win the Southern Area. I think if he gets fit, sticks with Don Charles and that team, I think he'll do okay. For Johnny, I mean, you have to be looking at English titles next. Solomon Dakers has got that title. Be a decent fight. I think they're both friends, though. I know coming through, they were both with Sam Jones under the same management banner, so I'm not quite sure if that fight will happen. Philip Hergovic versus Dempsey McKean. Hergovic, no, not for me. Not for me. That's twice I've watched him now. Up close. Obviously, Zhili Zhang fight, he lost. And this fight, he won. Obviously, he got the stoppage right at the end, but I don't see the hype. Honestly, I don't see that. I get, look, fighting southpaws back to back is never the easiest thing. Some people some people can't. I mean, Hergovic has had a very long amateur career, so I'm guessing he would have fought quite a few southpaws in the amateurs, but I don't see what it is. Like, I don't see amazing boxing ability. And this is being very honest, by the way. I don't see speed. I don't see punch power. I don't know. I don't know if he's maybe, I don't know. You know when you get those footballers that don't live up to the hype, like they're so good at 19 and 20 and it just isn't there. And I feel like that's with Hergovic. Look, if we're going to try and give him some excuses, he's been out the ring for a year. And Dempsey McKean is unbeaten, big guy himself, can punch a little bit. So yeah, but when I'm watching Hergovic, I'm thinking, is that a top 6, 7 heavyweight? And I don't think it is. I'm watching him thinking, is that a top 10 heavyweight? I don't think it is. Like, if you didn't know the names and you just turned up and you didn't know that was Philip Hergovic, this wonderful amateur that was unbeaten, and you were just watching that fight, and I said to you, that guy is a top 10 heavyweight, you'll say, no, he isn't. I'm not quite sure. I saw Nisa in the corridor of after the fight, and I said, is it going to be Usyk next? And they're like, yeah, they want the Usyk fight. And I'm like, well, gee, he's miles off. Usyk would embarrass him. Especially if it's the same Usyk that turned up against AJ. Embarrass him. So, yeah, I think they might want to do one more before that because they need to get him fit because he looked tired after the first couple of rounds, didn't he? Chisora versus Gerald Washington. Chisora getting the was it unanimous decision? Yeah, it was unanimous. 97-94, 98-93, 96-94. I actually didn't even score the fight. I was watching it and not watching it. Enough. Honestly, enough. I actually thought Gerald Washington, there's something not quite right with Washington because he had all the tools. The way Chisora was lunging in, Washington landed a couple of uppercuts and really clubbing hooks early. And I think that's it because Chisora rushes in and he puts his head down all the time. And Washington looked like he worked that out. He kind of took a step back and landed a few good uppercuts. And then Chisora just seemed to swarm him and Washington just seemed to get so dispirited. Like very quickly decided, oh, can't be asked. This is a bit too tough for me. So look, credit to Chisora. He found a way, but no more, please. No more. I went into his dressing room after where he was handing out his five guys and I was just so tempted to have a burger, but obviously I didn't. He looked in good spirits. Like he's, you know, his missus was there with the kids. He clearly loves this, doesn't he? Clearly loves it, but that doesn't mean you could still do it. And his legs are so slow. He telegraphs his punches. I don't know, man. I just don't want to see him fight anymore. I really don't. I don't want to see him fight anymore for his own health. I think enough's enough. Like, what are you fighting for now? Like, what is it? Just to have these type of fights? Is that what it is? No, not for me. Not for me. Because even Gerald Washington wasn't sitting on these punches, and you could still see him clubbing him, like landing big shots to the temple. Those must affect you. I don't care what anyone tells me. Those will affect you. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about the main event. AJ versus Robert Helenius. Conor McGregor ringside. Guy, man. He's just... he's interesting. He's interesting. It was always my dream to meet Conor McGregor. Like, you know, I was one of Conor's biggest fans. Still am to an extent, but one of his biggest fans 6-7 years ago. I thought it was just sensational. And I've met him twice now, and his energy is incredible, but it's weird energy. I can't explain it. It's just weird energy. I know people would start talking about, oh, he must be high, and you know, he's on this and he's on that. I don't know. I don't know if that's just him and he's just very erratic. I'm not quite sure. But it was good to see him there, but also a bit weird to see him there. But obviously, look, his pub was sponsoring a portion of the event. So, yeah, he gave it his own push. AJ Helenius, before that performance, I remember saying, AJ has to get rid of him in 6. That's what I said. Like, we need a knockout victory. This cannot go to points. So before I try and dissect the performance, we got what we wanted, or at least what I wanted. I wanted AJ to kind of be a bit more aggressive and land the overhand right, and he did it. And Helenius felt the power of it, and look, thank God Helenius got up, because that started to look a bit serious, didn't it? So AJ got the knockout victory. That's what we wanted. That's what he wanted. I know he, in those post-fight interviews, he can be a bit erratic and start saying things, but ultimately he would have wanted the knockout. You know he wanted the knockout because I think we all saw the celebration when he got the knockout, right? I mean, this guy jumped out the ring. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, 1 second, you got to get back in the ring. Jumped in the ring and started giving everyone high fives, which I did understand, but I didn't really like, because again, Helenius was there, like, you know, unconscious, getting oxygen. But look, it's emotions, and sometimes you can't control a fighter's emotions. But AJ done some good stuff in that ring. I thought it was a lot better. And sometimes I feel like we are maybe overly harsh on AJ's performances. I think it was a lot better against a guy and a style that he hadn't prepared for. Some would say Helenius hasn't prepared for AJ, and you are correct. But AJ was in camp preparing for a Dillian Whyte, who's a completely different style from Helenius. And I did say it's going to take AJ a few rounds to kind of work out what Helenius is doing. Helenius is no mug. Honestly, I think people maybe sleep on Helenius because of that Deontay Wilder knockout. He's no mug. I've watched Helenius for a few years. The guy can box. He's got a long amateur record. He's no mug, and he's a big guy. So AJ had to work him out, and AJ started to. My problem with quite a bit of that performance was there were times when I thought AJ had him. That there were times when AJ landed the jab and landed that body jab, which I thought was doing good stuff. And then he had him on the ropes. And for some reason, he took he took 2 steps back, as opposed to just the 1 step back and then throwing the big shots. And I'm like, why have you let him off? And the crowd recognized it and started to boo, didn't they? That was the first time I've ever seen an AJ fight where they boo. Unless I stand to be corrected, I can't ever remember it. But there were times where he felt like he let Helenius off, and I was wondering, why are you doing that? I don't know if it's because AJ felt something. Helenius landed a couple of big shots himself, and maybe AJ was scared to go into the pocket, go into that kind of danger zone, the fire. But I felt like AJ maybe was a bit apprehensive to let his hands go. But when he did, I think we all saw that AJ still carries that power. He carries that power, and I think that's what we wanted to see. We wanted to see a highlight reel knockout, and we got it. I thought the jab was a lot better. I thought AJ's footwork was very, very good. Looked very, very light on his toes. And maybe that's part of the issue as well, because when you are very, very light on your toes, sometimes it is very difficult then to sit on your punches. So you go from being light to then try and sit on your punches and land those big shots. Like when you watch a Deontay Wilder, never light on his toes. Always ready, always sitting on his punches to land those big overhand rights. And I felt like AJ maybe was sort of lost in 2 things here, whether to kind of just box and move, which he does so well, or just, okay, I've got to fucking have a fight here and just sit on the punches. And when he decided to sit on his punches throughout the fight, he caused Helenius some problems. I just don't think he did it enough. But ultimately, like I said, he got the job done. He got the knockout victory. I was, obviously, I don't know if you guys watched the broadcast, but I was in the studio with Barry Jones, David Hay and Tony Bailey, and we're going back and forth on sort of what should be next for AJ. And I don't think any of them were convinced that it should be Wilder next. Like, I think David Hay said he would like to see AJ fight someone like Helenius again. Fight someone like Helenius again and destroy him. Like, almost live off that confidence that you got from knocking him out in the 7th and go straight into the 1st. Almost a bit like it's the 8th round. Do you know if that makes any sense? And just go and destroy someone. Barry Jones wasn't convinced as well that it should be Wilder next, and nor was Tony, and nor am I. I do think there should be one more. I know, like, how long can you keep rolling the dice in this? But I feel like there should be one more. Just one more. Like, I'm starting to see the confidence come back. I'm seeing it come back. It's not fully back. And I think for it to be fully back, you need one more. I mean, you can go in there with Wilder. Look, you can go in there with Wilder and, you know, sometimes you need that dance partner to fully bring out the confidence in you. But I just feel like maybe one more before Wilder. But we're not going to do that. I think we're going to go to Wilder in January. We'll see. Look, I tried to ask the questions in the ring. AJ's such a difficult interview in the ring because I know he wants to take the mic. I know he wants to address the fans. But ultimately, I want to ask you a couple of questions. And I know he's going to do this thing where he goes off. But look, you learn. I'm trying to learn how to do this thing properly, and it's not easy. But Eddie did confirm AJ Wilder January. We'll see. We'll see. I feel like we've had a few false dawns when it comes to AJ Wilder, so we'll see what happens. But look, credit to Helenius for taking the fight on such short notice. It clearly was starting to gas in the first sort of 3 or 4 rounds. Found a bit of a second wind, I thought. Started to land that good jab, very good jab. Started to swell up AJ's eyes. But yeah, look, AJ got the knockout victory. That's what we wanted. We wanted to see AJ not go to points with Helenius, and he didn't. So ultimately, the box is ticked. I just want to see him maybe when he has the opportunity, just be a bit more aggressive and throw those hands. There were times where he threw big right hands, it landed, and he didn't sort of follow up with that kind of flurry. He kind of just took a couple of steps back and almost reset. And I'm like, what are you resetting for? But look, easier said than fucking done, man. Easier said than done. Conor McGregor in the ring. Oh, God. I'm so tired, you know. I'm so tired. I need to press the pause button very soon. I'm very tired. I'm very hungry as well. But Conor, I saw him at the corner of my eye and I was like, okay, he's in the ring. I thought, Conor McGregor's in the ring. I've got to ask him something. I can't just let Conor McGregor be in the ring and not say something. And I was like, please don't, take the mic. And by the way, see this taking the mic thing? What happens is if they take the mic, that means you've lost control. You've lost control of the interview and then they go anywhere. They go anywhere and it's carnage. Honestly, it's carnage. So I was like, please just be cool. And he was okay. And I think he gave credit to AJ. He said sometimes, you know, these things take time. Like you can't just go in there and blast everyone out. It doesn't work like that. You know, even when you think, you know, everyone talks about Wilder and the fact that he blasts people out. Maybe you've not watched Wilder fights. I've watched 60%, not all of them, of Wilder fights. Wilder goes through trouble and then gets you. Like not everyone does he just, I think people act like Wilder hits you in the first round and that's it, it's done. Doesn't happen. So sometimes you have to break an opponent down, find an opportunity, then bang. And I don't think the Wilder AJ fight's a foregone conclusion. I think some people just think that Wilder's going to knock him out because Wilder does that with everyone. No, he gets to you, but he has to work you out first. And hopefully, from an AJ perspective, AJ can work him out first. We'll see. It'll be an interesting fight and a big one as well. Let's hope it happens soon. Peace.